The biggest impact is musicians who did not save money. We will have to open up soon. Otherwise, this will not work. This is what our parents have been talking about. Why do you think our parents wanted us to get a government job? You cannot, as long as you don't get to meet other human beings, you will never be in the entertainment industry as such. It's a no-go zone for a while now. There is no money here.
Abhay Sharma is a well-renowned musician and has been playing the saxophone for various music performances since he was 15 years old. Saxophonist, composer, and writer at the Revisit project. He also plays sessions for Shankar Ehsan Loy, Vishal and Rekha Bharadwaj, and Adnan Sami. We are very pleased to have you here with today, Abhay. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I'm so very happy. For the people who are watching this, just a disclaimer: Abhay was my senior in college and a very nice guy. So yeah, like I've known him for a couple of years, and I've always admired his music. So yeah, thank you so much, Abhay, for agreeing to do this.
Thanks. I'm glad you called me a nice guy. Depending on our experience at Ramjas, I'm glad.
Okay, so without further ado, you're just delving right into the topic. How do you think the pandemic impacted the performing arts sector, and especially the music industry for you?
Yeah, music industry na primarily works within this small little paradigm of working as a live musician, which is performing for a live audience, which is what pays the most amount of money. Uh, and the other thing is you get in a studio and record things and make music there, which doesn't really guarantee you money instantly, because you have to still produce it, mix it, master it, and then eventually put it out and see the kind of response that it gets. So the most amount of money that musicians earn is through live shows, and the most amount of money in within that little box is wedding gigs, corporate gigs, page three parties, the works basically. And that means human interaction, right? Like that's just how it is. And since the pandemic hit, which is what, 2 years, 1 year ago, अब तो 1 साल 1.5 साल हो गया, सवा साल.
Date time.
And yeah, you cannot, as long as you don't get to meet other human beings, you will never be in the entertainment industry as such, because people have tried doing these online gigs, but that has not worked out at all. And yeah, so the entertainment industry flourishes on or thrives on human interaction. And as long as that is not happening, it's not just us. We are actually connected to a lot of other industries, much like the catering industry. Okay? The F&B industry, basically, food and business, food and beverage, my bad, sorry. So F&B industry is connected to our industry. Then the hotel industry is connected to our industry. Then film, the film industry, which how it functions is that every film you will hear a wedding gig or a wedding song. In the film you'll see a wedding show happening, or in the film itself you'll hear, and that's how they highlight is a wedding song of the year. If you
Right.
go back and look back at all of the Karan Johar songs, from Desi Girl to Macy Girl or Tesi Girl, all of those girls and all of the boys, Brown Munde, this Munde, that Munde, all of that is aimed at basically the stars being able to perform at the wedding the next season, like Varun Dhawan or some other, you know what I mean? So it's
All right, all right.
it's so interconnected that if one industry stops functioning, the every other industry has to suffer. And at this point in time, all industries have stopped. So it's a no-go zone for a while now. There is no money here.
Wow. Okay. So because you just mentioned like these online performances that are happening. So what has been your experience like with these online performances? Have you like adjusted to it, or are you like, what are you feeling about that?
I have done a few online performances, and I hated both of them, because I'll be honest, there is not enough infrastructure with respect to even outside. Like there have been people who've tried doing this in America or London or Australia or some of the other places, Finland or Scandinavian metal bands have tried doing it. It has not worked out because the infrastructure required for a live gig is way too much with respect to it has to sound like, for example, if a show has to sound good, there are so many people involved there. There's a sound engineer, there's a lights engineer, and the experience of a gig cannot be put forth unless another few years go down, and if this doesn't change, which will be like doomsday for people like us. But if it doesn't change, then there'll have to be a situation where everything is encapsulated within the this modern way of viewing a performance through the camera. But that's the entire premise of a live show is that the experience is it's visceral, it's in your face, it's out there. Like for example, if you go to a metal gig, I mean, you can't watch a metal gig from home. Like, there's no point of doing that. Like, it's like watching a horror show, like a horror film, without being there. Like, that's the point. Like, I'm not saying metal music is horror. What I mean is, people do it for the
Yeah.
experience. There's fight, there's mosh pit bolte hain, mosh pit bolte hain, jo bhi bolte hain. There's mosh happening. Then there's this loud guitar. Like, you go there to put out your angst, and that cannot translate into whatever we are doing. We can have a conversation here. Maybe some jazz gigs can happen this way, but I don't see any of this materializing. We will have to open up soon. Otherwise, this will not work.
So yeah, just in light of what you just said, do you think that these digital spaces even possess some potential to translate into a space which can be used for music sharing, learning, and listening? Like, do you think like that will be possible? Like these, like having it virtually.
Yes, you can learn music virtually, but like that to a very basic way of doing it. If you really have to do something, you end up doing it. No way. Like nonetheless, you do it. But I don't think so. I don't think without human interaction, music particularly is possible. You can work from home if you're an editor, probably, because everything is like written, and even like you don't really have to. You obviously there has to be brainstorming done with respect to what's the next topic of the discussion or some other thing. But all of that can be done conversationally. Doing something, the guitar player will come up, okay, like, okay, you know what, I heard that, and I'm going to do this, and there's almost like this personal chemistry involved. It can't. For me, it can't. Like, I think for some people it may, but I particularly want human beings to be around. वो म्यूजिक की definition है ना, संग गीत.
Hmm.
So it's together.
Right, right. So how do you feel the music community as a whole has reacted to the financial losses of the past years? Because it has impacted, it has like severely impacted. As you just mentioned, it's not just one industry which got impacted. So many other
Hmm.
connected industries got impacted. I had an interview the other day with a
Hmm.
team of with a team of young people who were basically providing technical visual support. So they used to manage the
Sure.
lights and everything. So they were
Hmm.
mentioning that, like people who have been skilled for so many years, like who have been doing lights for like 15, 20 years, they suddenly had to just go back home. And, like they had no source of revenue anymore. So obviously there are like major financial losses, but how do you think it has affected the music industry?
Yeah, I mean, if I can be very candid about it, the arts industry or the art industry, both, because the way they live their life is very in the moment, right? And it's almost like, okay, if like musicians, or I don't know about actors, you've been an actor, I don't know if you pursued it like properly or not after that. But even a theater actor, you've been into theater, you've known that there is no money there. Like, we all do it out of passion. Like, there is some sort of money there, but like it's you don't get to be the Rahul Tiwaris of the world, or someone,
Yeah.
because there's only one Rahul Tiwari, or there's only one someone else. Like, I don't like remember many other actors from but that era. But what happens is, musicians don't plan things out financially at all.
Hmm.
And because unfortunately they have to worry about how will they make their money and how will they end up doing things. And just when they start making the money, some of the musicians do figure out. And I hope they did figure out before this pandemic how to save money. That's the biggest impact. The biggest impact is musicians who did not save money for the bad days. उनके साथ जो हुआ ना वो बहुत गलत हुआ. And मैं तो देख रहा हूँ अपने आसपास. And it's just, and I don't even want to say that one particular thing has devastated everything, because यार आप मुझे एक बात बताओ. If life has taught us one thing, is that at any given time anything is possible, right? कुछ भी, literally कुछ भी हो सकता है. So you should be a little more prepared about these things. Like I particularly knew that एक ना एक दिन तो scene off हो. This is what our parents have been talking about. Why do you think our parents wanted us to get a government job? Because there is no way you can be thrown out of that. You know, there's
Yeah.
no way there can be a U-turn there.
Stability, security, and yeah.
Now, everyone in the event industry was like, this industry can never go out of work. There was 9/11, the next day people were performing. There was 26/11, next day people were performing. If there was a war going on between America and Russia, there was a film being made. Rocky ban rahi thi. 10 चीजें और हो रही थी. So everyone took it for granted. कि bro, अपना तो, we will never be in a situation where scene हो जाएगा अपना. You know what I mean? But this
Mhm.
is such an unprecedented situation that musicians are still in shock. I still talk to people who still can't believe that this is happening. So it's really devastated a lot of people who unfortunately were not the best planners. And उसमें उनकी गलती इतनी ही है कि उन्होंने they didn't plan for bad days. And you must, in every industry you must, and in especially something as unstable and as uh, poorly managed as the music industry or the event industry. I mean, it is definitely, wedding in the industry was flourishing, but I only see the happiest ones are the ones planned, who had planned for bad days. Look, we've been out of work for पहले 6 महीने, फिर shows आए, like we earned, and then March onwards, April onwards, we again went out of work. And anyone who has to pay their rents or anyone has to do anything else and he did not plan for this is gone, yeah. Like वो तो बुरी हालत है. But yeah, this has taught us how to kind of behave around such situations if you want to learn
Right,
those things.
right, right. So, okay, other than managing their finances, uh, if there's any other advice that you would like to give to budding musicians, like young people, like people younger than you who want to get into the music scene, like what would that be?
Yeah, I would suggest them to read Charles Darwin because this at this point in time it's literally survival of the fittest. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I would suggest get some get be prepared to be mentally tortured, if not by others, just by your own life. Because when you're in school and college, right? In college, you remember I've always playing the saxophone outside the AC room, and
Yeah.
there's almost all the attention in the world. Even though I did not want it per se, I did want it, but my plan was to always play. You've seen me play, right, throughout the
Yeah.
year. सुबह शाम बारिश हो रही है, मैं वहीं बैठ के बजा रहा हूँ.
Yeah.
So
बारिश हो
the
रही है, रूम
young
के अंदर
musician
चले गए, बारिश नहीं हो रही,
रूम
बाहर
के
आ
अंदर
गए.
चले गए. हाँ,
Yeah.
वही exactly.
Yeah.
Young musicians, I feel what they unfortunately don't do is they don't prepare for those bad moments. And like I have seen people around me who were more talented than me. हमारे कॉलेज के ही कुछ बच्चे थे, or even my seniors from not just Delhi, Bombay, otherwise as well, who were better, who were more talented than me, who knew better than me. But the moment college and their mid 20s happened, they just could not handle the the life of living all alone off of our own money. And then when you tour a lot, when you gig a lot, you come home and there is no one to greet you. Okay? And then there's almost like you really have to be in a situation where music is so informal. You come back after 5 days, and then suddenly there's another show in the next 2 days for which you have to travel all over the world. Like, for example, Zakir ji talked about this, where he was playing three or four continents within the same week. So there's so much of travel
Wow.
involved when once you look. So imagine now what this must do, all of the travel. And you can there are burnout situations, there are just like mental agony, then just be prepared for this. Like when people used to say na bachpan mein that this industry is all sex, drugs and rock and roll, that ends in college, trust me. That just ends in college because everyone else, someone who heads to Norway to complete their graduation, post grad, कोई कोई यहाँ चला गया, कहीं कोई फिनलैंड चला गया, कोई अमेरिका चला गया, कोई हार्वर्ड चला गया, कोई साउथ अमेरिका चला गया 3 साल चिल करने के लिए. तो तुम्हारे दोस्तों को और देख के तुम्हें there's almost like an envious situation there as well that emanates from that problem. So just mentally be extremely strong because if you won't, then you will not be fit enough to survive in the music industry.
Okay. Um, so given the competitive nature of music scene right now, especially with like,
Hmm.
so much of it is right now on social media,
Hmm.
how do you think that impact of performers' creativity? The social media and the algorithm, because it's all going by the numbers, like kitne clicks, kitne likes, kitne views. So how do you think that
And
impact
I've
of
done my
performers?
research
Yeah.
about this as well because I myself put a lot of videos out, and I've always done that since the time of my college days. जब I don't think of Instagram तब इतना active था. My whole concept with respect to that is I particularly look at social media as a gift, particularly. Now, first things first, you will never be the superstar of social media because there is not one social media which only caters to you. Social media is literally social media. People are waking up, checking their phones. People are using the washroom, checking their phone. People are driving, they're checking their phones. People want to escape their drudgery of the day, right? So that means you hardly get 10, 15, 20 seconds to kind of encapsulate them or pull them in. Now it's up to you. Which game do you want to play? Do you want to play the game of pulling them in, like with respect to okay, the first 10 seconds of my video are the most crucial, and I need to look the best, I need to sing the best, and sometimes none of that, or sometimes none of that happens, and suddenly a video gets still viral because human beings change, human beings evolve, human beings literally get tired of something. From Yashraj Mukhate, they can go straight to Doja Cat, then go straight to Rafi Saab. There's no one way of looking at it. So I don't play that game. Like I literally do not play that. I want to encapsulate the audience. There are videos that I've put out where I've put in the most amount of hard work. I've transcribed something. Transcription जैसे literally transcribe करना किसी की same to same चीज बजाना. And it took a lot of effort, but hardly 400 people saw it. And then one day I'll release the most like non like I have not worked on this video at all, and people will just keep watching it, and then even then I don't have like a massive following, and I don't care about it because my point is to not get that following. You should look at social media as just a gateway. It's almost like you are living in a colony and सबकी छोटी छोटी विंडोज हैं. ऊपर शर्मा जी रहते हैं, नीचे वर्मा जी रहते हैं, साथ में सिंह अंकल रहते हैं. और हर दिन अब कॉलोनी में हर दिन तो किसी का दिन होता है ना, जैसे एक दिन शर्मा जी कुछ कर रहे होंगे, एक दिन वर्मा जी कुछ कर रहे होंगे. तो it is just a way of telling people that okay, I exist. Beyond that, you should not stay on social media. You should tell people that you exist, like by putting a video out every week, every 3 days, 4 days, of you working something out. जैसे कोई गाना सीखा या कुछ और किया, just some accomplishment. Social media makes you want to accomplish more. Makes you want to tell people, and some people buy into that. But you will never get out of that. If you get into that, then there is someone who's got 1 million followers. तुम 1 million लाओगे तो किसी के 5 million होंगे. 5 million होंगे तो फिर विराट कोहली के तो 100 million है. और विराट कोहली से तो रोनाल्डो बैठा है, फिर उसके बाद मेसी बैठा है. You know. So I'm just saying, this does not stop. You have to stop. You have to look at it from a very different point of view. Social media is not the end. It's not even a means to an end. It is just you updating your weekly whereabouts. But if you want to do that, I if you don't want to do that, I suggest don't do that.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just ask my last question now. Um, assuming that this pandemic, अभी अगर assuming कि अब अगर third wave भी आता है और ये मतलब थोड़ा new normal बन जाता है, what are your future plans like? कैसे navigate करना है आगे?
Yeah, from what I have been gauging, I've been getting a lot of shows for October, November, December. So I have a feeling that human beings have gotten human beings like all of us. Like I don't want to sound scientific, here, but all of us have gotten used to this situation. So whenever there will be a situation जहाँ 200 या 300 से कम cases होंगे हर दिन, people will go out. People will go out to Shimla. People will go out to all the other places, chill and do other things. You can't stop them because that's what the lockdown was for. And unfortunately, I've been asking people in Canada, people in Australia. These guys have not had cases like us, but they're still in lockdown. You know why? Because unfortunately or fortunately, their economies have worked and they are a developed country. That's the biggest problem for third world and second world. All of us, the problem is या तो हम मर सकते हैं या हम जी के मर सकते हैं. तो वो वाली सिचुएशन है ना in terms of a larger context. उस within that larger context exists our context, and our context primarily looks like जैसे ही थोड़ा सा भी सीन खुलेगा वापस लोग आएंगे, फिर से वेव होगा, फिर से वापस आएंगे. अभी तक आई होप ऐसा ना हो, बट फ्यूचर प्लान ऐसा है दैट फॉर मी आई एम पुटिंग एन एल्बम आउट विद रिविजिट एंड for now I can sustain another few years without making that much money, and I think I can sustain after that as well, but I don't want to claim anything right now because कुछ मैं बोल दूं और फिर लोगों को लगे कि यार ऐसे ऐसा क्यों हो गया वैसा क्यों हो गया. So it looks bad, but the point is to stay home and practice. That's what I've always done, man. And sorting your fundamentals out. As someone who's experiencing this, I think this is the time to sort your fundamentals musically or technique or some other things that you can. And yeah, I mean, music karte rehna, nikalte rehna plan hai. And then we'll see. It's almost like you're reacting to things. Right? It's like jazz. You're improvising in life now. मुझे तो लगता है life has become a jazz gig where someone's playing a chord and life is playing a chord. The government plays a chord and then you solo over it. It's that kind of stuff.
No, no, very right, and absolutely true as well. Just before we end this interview, so I'd just like to mention one thing because we are working on uh, a topic like this, which is trying to cover like how this entire performing arts sector has been impacted. We have also started a petition on change.org, uh, urging the government, urging the Ministry of Culture to extend some sort of support to the artists, to the performers, to the technical staff, uh, to the people who are largely employed in the sector to provide some sort of either a support to the artist or some sort of support to the art itself. जो कि unfortunately पर हुआ नहीं है इंडिया में. There were a few schemes which were introduced, but none of them went anywhere. So our petition is just for that. So please ask all your fans to follow it, like just support us in our endeavor, because at the end of the day, it's an industry that impacts millions of people. It's not just the performers, it's also the viewers. अगर एक साल लोगों ने घर में बैठ के चीजें binge watch करी हैं, म्यूजिक सुना है, तो उस OTT को या उस म्यूजिक को बनाने के लिए भी there have been performers only. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So I'd like to request all of the people who like me, look up to me, or even just even not look up to me, just understand where I come from. I definitely understand what Kunal is also going for and his organization, and they've put out a petition, which I request all of you to, if there is a way of signing it, you go ahead and sign it or support it and share it, so that some of the other artists who are responsible as these supporting staff in the bigger context to the music, the acting, or the event industry in general. The support staff, the technical people, they need your support. And I think the organization that ITISARAS, Kunal's organization, you must go out and sign the petition that they've put out on change.org, and yeah, help support some of the other less fortunate musicians and technical artists at this point in time. Yeah, so I request all of you to just go ahead and do that.
Thanks for watching our videos. We work hard to make sure you keep coming back for the content we produce. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel by clicking the bell icon below.